We're giving away a professor's research, and all you have to do to enter is a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be picking a winner on the weekend. And now back to the video. Everyday Wonders is here, and every day I'm wondering what are the best decks, because right now it feels like we have 10 to 15 decks that are, viable, A tier, and really good into the metagame, and that's pretty exciting because we definitely do have a variety of decks, as you guys can see here in a meta report, meta game of Pocket Mad's tournament this weekend, which had over 300 people playing in it. So this is a good representation to see where the meta game really is at. So Miraidon is still performing pretty strong. We have a lot of, Sceptile variants performing strong as well. Primarily the Caterpie version is pretty strong because, you could just shoot for 60 damage, heal, and then you have all the time in the world to build up your Sceptile in the back. So, that's really strong right there in itself. And, Butterfree being able to evolve as fast as possible. You have Gardevoirs popping off, different variants of Sableye, really taking over the Mega Absol. You could, even play Mega Absol and and Sableye at the same deck, but at the same time, people are dropping the Mega Absol, especially in the Hydreigon variants. So, we're gonna go over all the best decks that you should be playing on whatever event, upcoming tournaments, and going over how the meta is evolving. So the first deck we have here is the Giratina and EX and Oricorio. Of course, this is one of the old school decks that really never fails because it's more of an anti-meta deck. So if you have something that counters the meta really well and you're pushing for high numbers, and most of your opponents are gonna get EX hungry and not really have that many outs for Oricorio, this deck could just come up and sneak in and pop off here. You do play the one Giratina, and you are playing Protective Poncho to protect it from any pings or anything like that. You have the Sabrinas, you have the Pokemon Center Ladies, Starting Plains, Giant Capes. So you're really banking on that Giratina surviving, and overall, the deck usually performs the same way as it always does. I would say good old reliable in the beginning of every format. The next deck I want to talk about is Jolteon EX. Jolteon EX is just one of those decks that, pop out of nowhere, and, surprisingly did really well in today's event. And you have Elegant Cape and Training Arena. Elegant Cape is one of the best cards for the stage 1 Pokemon because it gives you a plus 30, so it makes you somewhat viable to fight against these Mega Pokemon. And then you have Training Arena that helps you with the 10 extra damage for in your stage 1, so you could survive a lot of hits and do more damage, and yeah, it's just the greatest combo. And then you have Field Blower, Sabrina, Cyrus, Pokemon Center Lady, EV Bags, pretty much the usual here. The Jolteon, the regular Jolteon is basically there, so you could take care of Oricorios. You do 60 damage, and then you could do plus 10 with the Training Arena or the EV Bags. So, whatever comes up first. But yeah, this is basically one of the best Jolteon builds that, performed all week long. Next up, we have Charizard Y. So, it's not playing Charizard X. You could play Charizard X, but the thing is, most likely in this card game, you do want to blast everything with 250 damage, and you have Pokemon Center Lady to heal, and to heal from sleep, of course, and Lucky Ice Pop, so, and Giant Cape. So you're gonna have, plenty of HP to play with, because the negative side of attacking with Mega Charizard Y, you do take 50 damage, and Mega Charizard Y doing 250 damage is definitely is a fair trade-off, but you do have, you know, Entei EX here, so you could draw your whole hand, your whole deck, and then, you know, pop off. Like, the combos in this deck is insane if you could pull them off. You know, just have a bunch of Flame Patches, you know, 2 Charmanders, and, you know, the Charmeleon ramping up energy, so you know, the deck has so many answers and so many ways to get Mega Charizard EX out on the field fast and attacking for 250 consistently. And yeah, this is the current build that people are playing. It seems similar to the other builds, but you know, again, this build right here is strong and has been performing really well in tournaments. Next up, we have Mega Gardevoir EX and Mega Diancie. So they are playing the, you know, one Mega Gardevoir EX and one regular Gardevoir. You know, you really want to have more answers to, you know, to take care of Ori. And, you know, it does have a ability to take 2 Psychic Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon, Psychic Pokemon. So, you know, it does essentially kind of the same thing without giving you like that risk of losing the game like Mega Gardevoir EX. So, you know, it definitely allows Diancie to come out and hit like a nuke. Meloetta's the go, Curlia is the go, because you definitely want a way, not only relying on rare candy. Meloetta will definitely help you get that Curlia, so you could definitely bridge that evolution. And then you have Dianta, Copycat, Plazas, Double Plaza all the way, because you want to bump your opponent's stadiums as much as possible. Next up, we have the Dark Ninja. You're always going to be playing the 1 Absol EX with the Mega Sableye EX. You know, just giving this deck another attacker is great. Chingling is amazing. I've been playing this deck a lot in just off screen, and I love this deck. This deck is super strong. You have the Small Balloon and the Lucky Egg. I am a fan of the Lucky Egg and Chingling. Like, it's just so much value. Like, your opponent is like item locked, and you know they have to give you cards if they knock out your Chingling, and then you know by the time they make up their mind, you're already getting ready to swing with Mega Absol or Mega Sableye, and by then you get the Greninja, and then you know your whole engine pops off. So you know this deck is amazing, tried and true. It's even won a tournament, so yeah, nah, this deck is amazing. Next up, we have the Caterpie and Mega Sceptile. Well, I'll say Butterfree Mega Sceptile deck. This deck right here is just strong overall. Has been winning tournaments and defeating all the dark decks. So this deck right here is the one of the contenders to be like the best in the format. But overall, I would say, you know, you have to respect this deck. It's definitely Grass Blaziken, but you know, does have access to your bench with Grove Tile, and you know, it does have access to the best, you know, evolution cards like Quick Grow Extract, has Leaf Cape. It's just insane. Mega Sceptile definitely benefits a lot from this, and you know, you could definitely spam out your Caterpie line twice before you go into your Mega Sceptile, and then you know start going for game. So yeah, nah, this deck is definitely powerful. Next up, here's the Resurgence of Mega Lucario. I can't really fit it all. This is the best way I could put it all on the screen. It definitely has Hitmonlee, one regular Lucario, so it's basically the Zygarde version. But you know, this version did pretty well. A lot of people are playing the Palo Sand as well. Lucario is seeing somewhat of a resurgence too, because a lot of the Gardevoir players are definitely seeing less play, but that could dictate, like, next week it could be different, you know? Gardevoirs just come full force, and then Lucarios are just knocked out. So, you know, Lucario's still strong. It still does 140 damage with 3 energy, and then you could do your whole, like, crazy 190 combos with Karina and then the Stadium. Um, Deck plays the same as the last 2 formats, as you know, since it's been released. The deck is so powerful, and there's not really that much to say. Hitmonlee, I still am a fan of because you could definitely attack the bench, and attacking the bench is definitely huge in this format. Next up, we have Mega Manectric, Zeraora, very basic, tried and true. Of course, you use the Zeraora to pick up early knockouts, and then, come in with Mega Manectric, and then, start attacking for high numbers. You have the Training Arena, Poncho to, boost you up and protect you from Greninja pings, and then you do have Rocky Helmets to help Zeraora knock out the opposing threats. Not much to say about this deck other than it's really consistent, and I would recommend you guys play this because it's pretty solid. Next up is Sleep Scam. I'm not gonna scam you guys by talking about this. It's no brainer. Next, we have a non-sleep scam version of Milotic. We have Milotic and Vaporeon EX with the regular Vaporeon. Now, the reason we're playing the regular Vaporeon because you could definitely move around all the energy on the field that Milotic grabs from the Aqua Charge, so that's actually pretty strong. It works really well with Chen Pao, and overall, the deck benefits a lot from Training Arena, Sightseeker, Wallace. So overall, one of the best ways and creative ways to play Milotic in a high level. And, the fact that we're finally seeing, Vaporeon EX hit the, meta is really strong and exciting because, we got our Jolteon, we had our Flareons, we had Sylveon, we had almost all of them, really pop off besides like Umbreon and Vaporeon. But other than that, this Vaporeon EX has, good value because you could definitely Sabrina for game whenever you want and deal 80 damage. Like, of course, the Vaporeon has to be out in the front, but, it works really well. Next up, let's talk about Miraidon. Miraidon is just strong. Like, it's one of the best decks in the format, and can't lie, it's just strong. Like, ever since, like, Everyday Wonders, everybody that been playing Miraidon, Zeraora has become the most definitive way of playing this deck, and I'd say rightfully so, because it's just amazing how it's evolved during the meta. So it definitely might have a great a great time on the ladder on rank this season, but overall one of the best decks in the metagame right now. Last but not least, we're going to talk about Sweedbacks. Sweedbacks definitely came back into the metagame, won Pokemat's tournament, and yeah, no, we're finally here in a crazy situation where, Sweedbacks is pretty strong. I mean, people are still playing Starting Plains. Personally, I would switch that for something else because, it's just a card where, like, if your opponent knows you're playing that, they're going to wait for you to play it first, but it really depends on how you draw and everything. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys are gonna play, and we'll see you next time. Peace.